Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, where we continuously strive to take control of our digital lives. Today we embark on the new journey that will probably be the single most important step to anyone who has decided to self-host their applications. Our video today will focus on three essential pillars. First, that's complete data ownership. Secondly, security. And thirdly, unified user access, which are key factors in self-hosting that often puzzle beginners and experienced folks alike. To solve these challenges, we will be delving into the intriguing world of Pangolin, a highly efficient tool that acts as reverse proxy and provides secure, tunneled access to self-hosted applications, complete with a wildcard SSL. We will also be looking into how we streamline our user management using Authentik, an identity provider that facilitates unified access management for every single user. While Authentik is an optional choice, as Pangolin mainly offers unified user access, having a dedicated identity provider that can integrate just about anything is incredibly beneficial and huge plus to your self-hosted journey. So remember, this isn't just a tutorial video. It's your stepping stone towards achieving total control of your software environment. My aim is to help you master the skill so you can confidently maintain your applications while ensuring top-notch security and data ownership. So tighten your seatbelts because we are about to delve into some seriously enlightening content that will revolutionize how you self-host applications. So after laying out the foundation in the introduction, it's time to dive into the nuts and bolts of our setup. Depending on your circumstances and preferences, you can either opt to do this on your own hardware, perhaps that old laptop or desktop gathering dust, or if you got an impressive homeland setup, that would work too. But for those who don't have spare equipment lying around, or would rather capitalize on the convenience offered by the cloud, this one is for you. In the landscape of cloud providers, we have achieved remarkable success with Hetzner. They are known for their incredible performance, unprecedented stability, and very fair pricing. We have enjoyed a long partnership with Hetzner here at Webnestify, and honestly, I couldn't recommend better option out there in the market. So let's talk architecture. A standard setup would consist of two low-cost shared or dedicated CPU servers. What we are going to do is create a private subnet that allows for secure intra-server communication, and we will ensure that only HTTPS ports are open, as we have no use for additional ports. This keeps things neat and efficient, and all handled through secure private network. This approach minimizes the limitation often experienced by public networks, and also keeps the majority of cybersecurity things at bay. We will also integrate CrowdSec, a powerhouse for defending apps on the internet. CrowdSec is an efficient and really great system that shields our applications 24/7 against malignant scripts, probing an array of other threats. It's like our personal bodyguard, continuously on high alert to ensure that we can operate in safe and secure environment. Trust me, in the realm of cybersecurity, implementing CrowdSec is really good things to do. So grab a cup of coffee or tea, settle down, and follow along closely as we gear up to deploy our applications on our freshly set up servers. This is going to be a thrilling ride. Alright, so I think we are everybody on the same page, and what we are going to do now is our initial firewall setup and set up our Hetzner project. So when you navigate to your Hetzner dashboard, make sure to create your new project, because it's always good to separate things by the project. In my case, I name it Webnestify Tutorials because I will be doing everything here and also in the future videos, so we don't need to go back and how we can set everything up using different kind of things. This is the reason why I'm creating this blueprint basically for our self-hosted application, so you can always go back and see what we have done and how we can done it. So first, what I like to do is go to our firewalls, and we will create our first firewall, which will be for our proxy, reverse proxy server Pangolin. So I'm going to name it reverse proxy Pangolin. And we will just need only 3 rules because everything will be communicating through the private subnet. And all the traffic between the private subnet is allowed, so we don't need to do any firewall. So first firewall rule will be SSH, and second will be HTTP and also HTTPS. And also, if you are running server outside of your private subnet or someone else, what I recommend for you to do is to put the server IP here, for example 127.0.0.1, and you select protocol and you allow it on any, right? And also you want to do the same for the UDP ports, 1.7.0.0.1. You select UDP and you whitelist that it can communicate through any port, but this is only if you have your server outside of Hetzner or outside of the private network. Otherwise, if you have everything in your Hetzner single project, don't worry, you don't need to add those rules, and we will just need SSH, HTTP, and HTTPS. So for HTTP, we don't need any IPv6. I'm not using IPv6. You can keep it there, but for myself, I don't still find use case for IPv6 because it's still not widely supported. So yeah, for keeps things simple, just HTTP4 and it's fine. And we're gonna select protocol TCP port 80, and same for the port HTTPS 443. And the SSH port. This is basically the port where you will SSH into your server. What I like to do, I like to whitelist this port through my dedicated IP address. So if you have your own internet that gives you a dedicated IP that is not rotating, then put your IP there. Or if you have a VPN like WildCard or WildCard Easy, as you can saw in my tutorials previously, put your IP address there. So let me copy my IP address there. And let me copy that. And I'm going to put my IP there and we can create our firewall. Amazing. And another firewall, what we need to create is for our application server. But luckily for us, there will be just one simple rule, and that is for SSH access. So we can remove anything. We can name it SSH. I'm gonna put my IP address, port 22. I go down and it will be apps server. And now we can create our firewall. Amazing. So now you should have your 2 firewalls. That is everything we need. Another thing what we need to set up is our SSH key, and this key will be access to SSH to our server. So make sure hit the add SSH key, and I'm going to add my from my workstation, and I'm going to set as my default key, and we can click create a new SSH key. If you have multiple SSH key from different machines, feel free to add your SSH key there. And another thing, if you have some member of somebody who you want to give access, you can also invite a member to your Hetzner project, and you can give him different role, admin, member, or restricted. This is completely optional, and if you have this use case, feel free, because it's free. Okay, so another thing that we need to create is our private network. So when you navigate to networks, you create network, and you can name your network, and it will be basically self-hosted apps. And if you are going to deploy your servers in the European Union, make sure to select EU Central. Or if you're going to deploy your servers in the US East or US West or even Singapore, choose the corresponding network zone. In my case, it will be EU Central. So let's click, and also we can give it the IP range. By default, it is doing 16, which is fine, or you can go even 23. I think 24 should be also good. And that gives you a lot of private IP addresses that you can connect to your servers. So the basic Hetzner project things we have done, and now we can move for deploying our servers. So when you go to the servers, make sure to add a new server. And the first server what we will create will be for our Pangolin reverse proxy. You can use Ubuntu 24.4, but I recommend using Debian. And I'm not sure if Pangolin is up to date with the newest Debian 13, but in my case, we can just switch to Debian 12, which is really great. And the main difference between Ubuntu or Debian is that Ubuntu puts a lot of other applications or system packages than we don't actually need on this server. But for Debian, it only contains the things that you will actually need, like SSH, DNS, and no other bloatware. And Ubuntu is based on Debian plus its own packages. So I recommend sticking with Debian 12 or even Debian 13. And here for the server type, you can select shared CPU or dedicated CPU. The only difference is between shared CPU is that you will get a lower performance CPU core, and they will be basically throttle limited if you are going to use your CPU all the time, because it is basically shared. So if you want always 100% CPU usage and all the time, just go with dedicated. Or if you know that you have many applications routed through this server, just go for dedicated CPU, right? 2 CPU core, 8 gigs of RAM, 80 GB of storage, and 20 terabytes of public traffic is completely perfect. And yeah, it's really cost like $12.49 a month, which is really amazing. But we will go for the Europe, we will go Falkenstein, and we will select CCX13 for our reverse proxy. Here in the networking section, you can uncheck IPv6 because we don't need it, but if you want, it's completely up to you. Then you want to select the private network we created. You select the self-hosted apps. Here you can choose the SSH key you edit. For the volumes, at the moment we don't need any volume because this will be only the reverse proxy server and nothing else. And for the firewall, you choose the Pangolin. You of course want to enable the backups because backups are really important. And also what you can create is a placement group that will group multiple servers into the placement group to optimize your availability requirements. Sometimes it can happen that Hetzner have some outage and some server node can be down. In this case, every server you create in the placement group will be splitted into different nodes. So if one goes down, the other one will not be affected because they are on complete different server. So I highly recommend to create a placement group, and we also name it Webnestify tutorials. For the labels, you can set it up label like a Pangolin proxy. And for the cloud config, you can download my cloud init template, which will basically automate the standard server setup. It will create our user with sudo privileges. It will disable SSH access, where it will not disable SSH access, but it will disable the root access, and also it will disable the password authentication, because we will only authenticate through our SSH key. So let me grab my cloud init config. All right, I have my cloud init config, and if you want to get this template, please feel free to join the Webnestify Discord. You have the QR code on the screen or in the description. Feel free to join, where you can also download this Cloud Init config, which will save you tremendously amount of time if you are deploying multiple servers or even single server. It will save you time. And for the server name, we can name it, for example, Webnestify Proxy, but feel free to name it however you want. And now what we want to do is create and buy now. Okay, everything looks fine. And another server, what we are going to add, that will be our server for running all our applications. So what we're gonna do is our add server. Feel free to choose the location where you want to use, US, EU, or even Singapore. And for this, for the apps, I'm going to stick with the latest Debian 13 because Docker is fully compatible with Debian 13. So all applications will be also compatible because there's no OS and those kind of things. So go with Debian 13, always the latest and greatest. And again, you can choose even x86 or even ARM64, which is really great, but some apps don't fully support ARM64 architecture. So just for the compatibility sake, so we don't have any issues, choose x86. And again, you can go even dedicated or shell CPU. That's completely up to you. But if you are going to run 2, 3, 4 apps, just go with dedicated. It's cheap, and yeah, it will, you can scale it also in the future if you want. So we will stick with our dedicated CPU, CCX13, and the same process will be again, we disable the public IPv6, we attach our server to our private network. We can use SSH key that we added. For the firewall, we will choose the app server. We want to enable backup, set up the placement group. Labels, it will be self-hosted apps. Again, you can paste the cloud config that you can download or get from the Webnestify Discord channel. And we can name it Webnestify apps. And that's pretty it. And we can create and buy now our server. All right. And also, if you want to get some volumes, and volumes are basically additional storage that you can attach to your server. So for example, if you want to backup some things from your main disk to the volume and set up the sync to your S3 storage, feel free to do it. In the future videos, yes, we will talk also about the backups, so I will show you step by step how we can attach the volume and how we can basically use it so our main disk is not affected by this. But for this video, we will don't touch any volumes, but in the future, yes, I will go over it. Amazing. So we have now our 2 servers that are required for this and for any apps that you will be using. So let's jump straight into the terminal and let's prepare our servers. Alright, so we added our server to our terminal manager, and as you set up your cloud config, firstly what you need to do is it will ask you to change your password for your user that you specified in your cloud init file. So the current password, just edit what did you add into the cloud init. And I make it probably wrong. Okay, so I'm just gonna do like this, and then you want to select your user sudo user password and make sure to generate it in a password manager and use a passphrase. So I'm gonna confirm our new password, and also you want to retype or paste the password. So once you are logged in into your server, the next step will be we will need to install the Docker, and we can use the Docker convenience script. So let's just elevate ourselves to our root, both for the servers. And we can run this convenient script that you can get from the Docker website or in the video description where I provide you link. So I'll just press enter on both servers, and it will automatically install the Docker Compose and all the plugins latest for your specific distribution. So for our proxy, we have Debian 12, but for our Webnestify application server, we have Debian 13. Okay, as you can see, the Docker is installed, and you can also add on your application server your user to a Docker group. So it will be user mode, add group, your username, and we're gonna add it to Docker. Okay, sorry. Yeah. So it will be add group, Docker, and your username. And now you don't need to elevate yourself into the root or use sudo to manipulate with your Docker containers. So now let's just navigate to our user. Let me go to the home folder, and this is now everything what we have, which is good. And for the proxy, we don't need to add our user to the Docker group because we will only install the Pangolin. And Pangolin, doesn't need to be installed as other user. It will be just root because it will need access to the Docker socket and other things. I tried to install it as a user with the privileges, but I ran into some errors, so we will just follow the Pangolin installation guide. So now talk a little bit about what is Pangolin and why you should consider using Pangolin instead of Cloudflare tunnels. If you watched my previous video when I was ranting about the Cloudflare because they got some downtime and my services were affected and I could not use them, I was on the look for self-hosted version for Cloudflare tunnels and also the user management, right? So I found a Pangolin, which is fully open source, and Pangolin lets you do basically everything what Cloudflare tunnel does. Plus, you will get complete ownership of your data, and you don't need to worry about third-party providers having issues like Cloudflare did. When you visit their pricing, as you can see, you have some free tier, which is limited to one site, 3 users. And then you can also go for the standard tier, this will be for the cloud usage. But when you go, I think they should have pricing in, yes, the community open source. It is only single node deployment with a GPL v3 license. And this is useful for yourself, for a home lab, or for your for a company if you don't want any additional features like more nodes added to different countries or basically high availability nodes. Then you will need to get the license for the Pro, where you get the high availability failover, self-host multiple points of presence, geo-blocking engine, health checking on targets, etc. So yeah, it is free and fully open source, but it does not mean you can basically use it as you like. So there should be some fair usage. So if your business can afford it, just get in touch with the developers and they will help you out. And also you will support further development of this amazing open source project. And hopefully in the near future, we will have a live stream with the Pangolin developers, so you can ask them anything. Alright, so to install Pangolin, I already have a video tutorial on it, how you can do it, but in this case we will set it up again. And you can visit the Pangolin Quick Start Guide installation, where you can read all about. But what we need is to download the installer script. And let's move us to our terminal. Where is my terminal? And make sure you are on your proxy server. So we can paste the script. And installer is ready to use. You can just run it. So you can just run it. Installer. And it will ask you, would you like to run Pangolin as Docker or Podman containers? No, by default it is Docker. So press enter. And for now, you will need to enter your base domain. So let me close the terminal and go back to our Chrome. And one thing that you will need is a fresh, let me zoom in so you can see better, is a fresh domain that you will use only for your applications. I don't recommend using a production domain where you have other records. So in my case, I have a Webnestify tutorials or vntuts domain. So what we want to add is add our record. It will be root because it will be root domain. And we will paste our IPv4 address from our proxy server right here. Do not enable the proxy status because Pangolin is proxy. So Pangolin will be serving as our proxy and as our basically self-hosted Cloudflare alternative. So let's click save. And another record what we will need to add is our subdomain record where our proxy will be. So let's select a record. We're gonna use a proxy. Feel free to add your own name. IPv address will be the same. And let's create. And another record what I recommend will be your wildcard record. So you don't need to go back each time when you add a new application. So basically anything at your root domain will be served from our proxy server. And click save. And you should have only the 3 DNS records. Okay, let's go back to our terminal. And we have our domain vntutorials.com. Let me copy this into a clipboard. Then enter the domain for the Pangolin dashboard. We set proxy and email for Lens Encrypt. Make sure to set your own email. So it will be tuts webnestify tutorials.com. Do you want to use gerbil to allow tunneled collection? Yes, you want. Press enter. And here you will need to enable the email functionality if you want to, for example, invite other users to your organization. I highly recommend that you set up your email configuration, and it is completely up to you what SMTP are using, but I'm using Postmark and I'm using it for many years and it never let me down. The deliverability rate is just amazing, and also you can separate everything into the servers or the sending channels, which other SMTP providers don't have. So make sure to grab your SMTP credentials and then we can continue in our Pangolin installation. And after you enter your SMTP details, it will ask you if you like to start the containers. Type yes, everything will be done. And next thing what we want to also integrate is the CrowdSec, because CrowdSec will protect our services out of the internet. So it is really highly recommended to set up the CrowdSec. So it will type yes. It will ask you this constitutes a minimal viable CrowdSec deployment, which is completely fine. And also once everything is done, I'm going to show you how you can add various collections from CrowdSec to this container. So just type yes. And as you can see, the installation should be complete. And it looks like the CrowdSec was not deployed properly. So after you finish with the CrowdSec, you just need to run the installer again. You press enter, and now it will ask you to install CrowdSec. Yes. You confirm yes. And then it will ask you if all the details are correct. You say yes. And now it is stopping the previously containers. It is editing the Docker Compose file. And also it will add the CrowdSec into it. So everything will be protected. So let's just wait for this process to be done. And after this setup, everything should be fine. And I'm going to show you how you can install additional CrowdSec collections. So let me go back to our browser. And for example, you can go CrowdSec with collections. And here you can choose what collections you want to use. No, thanks for the cookies. So let's go back to our terminal. And when we open our Docker Compose file, you can do nano Docker Compose. And as you can see, we have the services CrowdSec and we have the collections here. So what you want to do is keep those default collections there. And if you want to add additional rules to your CrowdSec, you can scroll here and you can add, for example, AppSec, virtual patching, generic rules. If you are going to use WordPress, make sure to open this and just copy this line, the crowd security / AppSec WordPress. What does it mean? This is the developer of this collection and this is the collection name. So just copy that, go back to your terminal and paste it here. Control O, enter to confirm, and Control X to exit. And now you do Docker Compose stop. It will stop the containers. And after they are stopped, we will need to run those containers again. So it will be Docker Compose up-d, and we can also check the logs. Docker Compose logs -f. And yeah, it should start and also install the CrowdSec collection. All right, so now when we have everything up and running, we want to go to our proxy dashboard, which will be proxy.webnestify tutorials.com. And here we will need to set up our initial server. So email will be proxy@vntutorials.com, and make sure to generate strong and secure passphrase in your password manager. So let me just copy that and we will create our admin account. And also I'm going to save it in my Bitwarden for later use. Let me also edit this. VN proxy tutorial. And I'm going to choose a host. Perfect. Now we can log in to our server. And before we create any organization, make sure to navigate to your system settings and enable the two-factor authentication straight away, because there's high chance that you will forget to do it. So always set everything before you do anything. So we're gonna enable the two-factor, and you can copy this code or scan the QR code through your password manager, which does not work. So I'm just going to copy that and I'm going to paste the 2FA code, and also make sure to download those backup codes, which I will of course change. So you cannot basically override it. No worries. And also you want to manage your security keys and you want to add your what is it called? Yeah, the passkey. So you don't need to use username and password. So we will add our security key. I'm gonna store it in the Bitwarden. And we can register a new key. Of course, it will ask you for the 2FA. And we will register our new key. The Bitwarden pop-up should open, so you can click save. And we have our security key. Amazing. So let's go here and we can actually log out. And now you can continue to log in with your security key. And that's easy, very easy. So make sure to do this first. So let's continue with our Pangolin setup. So after you add your security key and two-factor, you will need to set up your organization. So you can name it however you want. So this will be Webnestify tutorials. And here you can keep the default subnet or you can add whatever you want. So we will create our organization. And we have the network error. Let me refresh the page. And the reason why I was blocked, it was due to the next DNS setup. And as you watch my previous video, I have enabled to block a freshly created domain with at least 30 days. And I registered the domain today. So as you can see, I was blocked and I can see the rule. So what I need to do is allow this domain and I can do basically anything at my root domain. So let's press enter and my domain should be now allowed. So let me refresh the page and we should be all working, or let me close up and start the browser again. Amazing, and let's continue. And sometimes issues can happen, so don't stress, everything should work fine. And yeah, always check your DNS because most of the time is always the DNS issue. Alright, so now when we have our account secured, it's time to create our organization in Pangolin. So organization name will be Webnestify tutorials. And for the subnet, make sure that you go back to your head snare, you go to networks, and you will need to copy this private IP range, which will be serving as our subnet in Pangolin. So go back to Pangolin, enter our subnet, and now we can create our organization. And for the site information, the site are basically our servers. So you can add multiple servers. So we can name it Webnestify apps server. And the site address, as you can see when you go to the servers, the site address is 10.0.03, which is the private network. So we're gonna specify 10.0.0.3. And after that, you have tunnel type options, which I recommend using the Newt tunnel, or you can use basic WildCard, or if you are running apps on your reverse proxy server, you can use local, but I don't recommend you setting up another applications on this reverse proxy server. So when we go to Newt, make sure to note those Newt ID and Newt secret key, because we will need to set up our systemd service so the server is connected after reboot. And for the operating systems, you have options for anything, macOS, Windows, Linux, so you have full options. You can even enroll your home lab machines at your home. That's completely up to you. But the principle is always the same. You will need to select your distribution. And architecture, we go for AMD 64. So let's go create our site server. So copy this command into your clipboard and click create our site. And after that, go to your terminal and paste this command, which will download the Newt. You press enter. And as you can see, the tunnel connection to the server established successfully. If you have some errors within the pings because the server is using ICMP protocol, just go back to your head center, go to firewalls, and make sure to select the reverse proxy Pangolin firewall and whitelist the application server to anything. It won't be using it, but for the sake of any issues, just enable the app server into the firewall and you should be good to go. Okay, so let's go back to the terminus and everything looks good. And when we go back to our Pangolin, let me refresh it. We have status online, which is great. Next thing, what we need to create is our systemd service that will persist after the system reboot, because when we exit out of this, as you can see, the newt service will be stopped and there will be no connection between the servers, so your applications will be down. So follow my steps to create our newt service. So first thing what we need to create is our newt service. So let's do nano newt.service and make sure to paste this configuration that you can find in Webnestify Discord. And another thing what we need to add is our exec start parameters. So we can Control O enter to exit, and now when we scroll up, we have our newt ID, newt secret, and also our endpoint. So this is what we need to copy to our clipboard, like this. And then we will need to edit our newt service. So it will be nano.newt.service. And after that, what we want to do is exit start, gonna be newt, and then we paste the ID, the secret, and the endpoint. And then what you want to do is Control O and enter to confirm, and Control X to exit. Perfect. Now we have our newt service enabled. Next thing what we need, when we do ls, we need to move this newt service into user local bin, which will be storage for our application. Okay, so we're gonna do sudo move newt/user/local/bin, enter your sudo password. And when we do ls user local bin, we have our newt there. And next we want to move our newt service into the etc systemd system. So it will be sudo move newt.service to etc systemd system. And next thing what we want to do is to start our service. So it will be sudo systems control start newt service, and also we want to keep it enabled. So sudo system control enable newt.service, and now everything should be good. And when we do sudo system control status newt, we have some error that failed to start newt service. Okay, so let me figure it out what I've done wrong. All right, I know what I've done wrong, so let me clear all this and let's do sudo nano etc systemd newt, and we forget to add our path, so it will be what is it was? Let me think. Yes, it will be user local bin. So just add user local bin where our Newty service is, exit that, and sudo system control restart Newty, and also sudo systems control status Newty. And voila, as you can see, we are now connected and our Newty service is enabled. So let me just verify it. Come on. And yes, I forget to reload the system daemon, so it will be sudo system control daemon reload. And after we reloaded the system daemon, so we can pick up our edited configuration, you do sudo system control status Newty.service, and as you can see, we are now connected. So yeah, follow along, get the systemd service from Webnestify Discord for easy copy paste, and you should be good to go. And I think that's it for this system config. Let's go back to our browser. And what we want to do now, we can add our resources, which first we are going to install our Authentik as it will serve as our IDP. So let's continue with Authentik installation. So now let's talk about Authentik pricing. As you may know, Authentik is fully open source application that anyone can utilize and use. So when you go to authentik.io/pricing, you can see it is free and it is open source, but the use case is for home lab users and simple use cases. It covers B2B and B2C use cases, and you can access the community Discord, but you don't get any support. But if you are a larger organization and you want to use it seriously in your business to integrate it with Google Workspace, Microsoft Entra ID, or any external OAuth of similar sources like Okta Duo, then you will need to get the professional license. And the license costs $5 per internal user, your employee, which can access your dashboard, and it costs 2 cents for external users. As I was mentioning before, external user don't get access to Authentik dashboard with all the applications, but he can only log into your application you create and then you can give him access to. That means external user only, which is great for third-party developers, or if you are using someone from Fiverr or Upwork, when you can control the security of that account. That means the external user. An internal user is only your employees or teams that need access the Authentik dashboard with applications. And then, of course, if you are really big company and you don't want to get hassles with the self-hosting, then you can contact them for enterprise, and it contains dedicated customized support, volume discount, FIPS compliant, and yeah, you don't need to basically self-host. So choice is yours, use it for free. As your organization scale, you can add the license into your Authentik instance, which is really great, and you can also support this project, which is amazing. So yeah, I think that's it for Authentik pricing. All right, and to install basically any applications in the future, I highly recommend to visit the Webnestify Docker repository, which contains the templates for every application that we will be talking about, and where also you can read, and I tried to keep them up to date with the latest version. So in our case, we will install Authentik. As you can see, you can open the repo. You can read more about the Authentik. So let's just go back and let me copy the Git code, and let's go back to our server to clone this repository. So let me open the terminal and make sure you are in your home folder, and first make sure to install a git. So sudo apt install a git -y, enter your super strong secret sudo password, and I think git should be installed, and now just do git clone and paste the repository URL. And as you can see, now we have our Docker folder. So navigate to cd docker, and here you have all of the applications that are present. And I will be updating this repository, constantly adding new applications, so just always go back to our Git and check it. Perfect. So for ease of use, what I also recommend for you to do, you can feel free to edit the configuration file through Nano or Vim, but I like to use VS Code so I can easily edit through VS Code. So let me just open my VS Code. All right, so I have my Visual Code connected to the application server, and you can do it also the same. The setup is easy, or just use Nano or your editor in the terminal. But in VS Code, everything is way faster. So once you clone the repo, let's go to Authentik. And first, let's go to Docker Compose. And I updated it with the latest version of Authentik, which is 2025 8.1. And all things we need to change here is basically your network. So when you select it and you want to change all occurrences, we will type the Docker network. So make sure, for example, apps server, and yeah, we should check app server correct, app server, everything is correct, and also here. And another thing what I like to do or remove is to remove this container to access to Docker socket, because we won't authenticate to our Docker socket through our Authentik. So you can just comment it out, or you can just remove it. And all, as you can see, this placeholder for pwd, that is where you clone the directory. So it will be /docker/authentik, and there all data will be stored because it will be important for the backups, and we will talk on the backups later on. Also for the ports, as you can see, I specified the localhost because we are not exposing those containers on the internet. We are exposing it through our tunnel service, Pangolin, which is communicating over the localhost. So you don't need to put anything there. So let's just double check everything. That should be correct. Yes, everything is fine, and all the that's fine. So Alt S or Control S if you are on Windows to save it. And now we need to create this Docker network. So let me copy this, and you go back to your terminal or open a terminal in your VS Code, which we clearly can see, and we can create Docker network. So it will be Docker network create, and you paste the network you want to create. Of course, I misspell it. And now when we do Docker network ls, we have our app server dedicated network, which will be serving all our applications. So let me clear it. And also we have environment file. And here in the environment file, you will need to specify, the Postgres user, and also you will need to set up your SMTP. My SMTP of choice is Postmark, as you can already know, so I will edit that. And also what we need to go, let me go back to the Chrome. And when you go to the Authentik, when you go to README, we will need to generate some secure variables for the Postgres password and Authentik secret key. So let me just copy that, go back to our VS Code, and let's just paste those there. And we should, okay, yes. And I will to navigate also to the Authentik folder, and now I can paste those. And as you can see, it added the Postgres password and Authentik secret key. Without this, you won't be able to deploy your Authentik. So this is really crucial, an important step that you need to set up. So I'm going to add my Postmark API keys, and then we will continue. And once you edited the environment file, change the database user, edit your API keys, and also edit your network, only thing left to do is to run the Docker Compose. So Docker Compose up-d, and also we want to see the logs. So Docker Compose logs-f to see the logs in the real time. Press enter, and probably it will say invalid container port. So let me go back to our Docker Compose and let's see what port we have there. Okay. And I think the issue is within these quota marks. So let me just remove those and save it. And let's try to run it again. And yes, now it is working. So I'm going to also update the repo so you don't get this error message. And most likely you will run into the error, but as you can see, we will need to change our database folder to be owned by our user. So let me just exit out of this, do docker compose stop, and it will need to stop our containers. And when you do lsal, as you can see, our database folder is owned by root, and also the Redis is owned by root, which we need to fix ourselves. So let me do chown -r. It will be Webnestify database. Changing ownership database operation not permitted. Okay, so oh yeah, I forget to add the sudo. All right, sudo chown, and now you paste your sudo password. And as you can see, now our database folder is owned by root. And the same we will do also for the Redis. Let me do lsal. And now when we do docker compose up d and docker compose logs f, I think everything should be working now, so hopefully. And yes, looks like we have some we have some issues. Okay, let me exit out of this. Let's do docker compose stop. And I think what we need to do is also change the, yes, for the certs, custom templates and all those folders. So sudo chown -r to be recursive, and that will be Webnestify and Webnestify. Always you need to make this folder available only to your user. So it will be certs, custom templates, media, and I think that's it. And now when we run our Docker, now finally it should be all right. So let's hope and see. And yes, as you can see, it is now creating the database tables in Postgres, and that means that everything is up and ready. And what we can do now, we can now exit out of this and we can proceed to our Pangolin to make this service available so we can create our account. And we choose port in the environment file, which was 4443. Okay, let me go back to our Chrome. And let's go to our Pangolin, refresh it, and we will add our resource, which will be our Authentik server, and which will be vn idp and site vn app server https resource, and for the domain it will be idp.webnestifytutorials.com. Make sure to select this domain and create resource. For the configuration, this will be https, IP hostname, it will be localhost, and port will be 4443. And we can add our target. And for the authentication, we don't need to protect our IDP with IDP from Pangolin, so we can just disable use platform SSO. And fingers crossed, when we visit this website, we will get error because we need to set up. We need to create our first admin setup. So when we go back to the documentation, there's no mention. I've probably added, but what we need to do is go to Authentik documentation, and well, let's go to installation and configuration, Docker Compose, and here we will have the URL what we need to visit after the setup. So it is /if/flow/initial setup. So let me copy that, and we have no available server. So let me try edit the port. So let's go to resources, edit, and where is it? I did not edit. Okay, so https localhost 4443, and we can save. And now should be all good. Correct. Now we can create our administrative account on our Authentik. So first, what we do, email, which will be tuts@vntutorials.com. Make sure to generate a strong password or passphrase in your password manager. Let's continue. And yes, I want to save it in my Bitwarden. Let me quickly edit this in my vault. And also I will change it to the host. That's perfect. And now we have our latest Authentik setup. And as you may know, what we need to do now is to secure and change some default settings on our user. So when we go to the admin interface, we want to go to the directory users, and here is our admin user, which we need to edit. And so username can be Webnestify, name Webnestify admin, or you can put your name, it doesn't matter. And also here you specify your email. You can click update. And also when you go to your user profile, let's go to the settings and go to, why this does not want to click. You want to change your password, or you want to enroll a multi-factor authentication. So we're gonna enroll also the TOTP device, which will be for our user. And as you can see, I can scan the QR code with my Bitwarden. Let's go edit, edit, and we can save it. We can copy it here. Amazing. Now we have our authenticator, but also we want to add our web authorization device, which Bitwarden will ask you to save the passphrase for it, and should be all good. And if you want, you can also generate static tokens and keep those safe if you logged yourself. And when we log out, we're gonna put our username, password, and we can use authorization code or select another method, which will use our static web auth token, and we are back in our Authentik. All right. Additional setup, for example, how to integrate Authentik with Pangolin, and also how you create some workflows to invite other users, so every user can be automatically provisioned in your Pangolin instance. This video will be only available to Webnestify YouTube channel members, and where I will also put the deep dive configuration of any self-hosted application, so you can basically learn how you can use it. Yes, it will be behind paywall because it will take a lot of time for me to create this content, so that's why we'll be only members only. So after you follow everything as shown in this video, you should have your two secure servers, your proxy instead of Cloudflare tunnels, where with Pangolin you own your data and you are not reliable for example, if Cloudflare have some outage and those kind of things, and you have your Authentik as IDP provider ready to deploy in your organization on for yourself in your home lab. And those two things together are seriously really important. So that's why I created this video, because this will be our blueprint or template for anything we do after this video. So I don't need to test any additional things or use Caddy or Nginx Proxy Manager or Cloudflare tunnels like in previous videos. So this will be our baseline.